During times of uncertainty, it's comforting to know we have a healthcare system in our community that's been committed to supporting us for well over a century. In this current time, we are standing together, and our bond is stronger than ever. KDMC, caring for our community like no one else can.
You know, back to the game, exciting game. I think it was fun for the fans. You know, one of our goals is to, you know, play, so when people watch us, they say, I want to go play there, you know, and have excitement on the sidelines and, you know, the tempo offense and jerseys and everything. So I think that was accomplished. I think, you know, that went really well. You know, we played about as bad as you can possibly on defense, you know, through whatever 3 quarters, but, you know, the last 3 drives, you know, a punt and then 2 4th down stops were huge. So, you know, that is the one bright spot on that side. You know, Elijah played great. I mean, I can't remember what it was. I think he had, I don't know, 14 touches or something at halftime already. You know, got the ball the first 4 plays of the game. It's crazy to think for a guy that, you know, basically doesn't have any reps back there, you know, except for, you know, what we put in this week, you know, at the bye. You know, he looked like an elite running back, which is really, really unusual. So, pretty neat. He's going to make a lot of money here next year.
Questions for Coach. David starts off.
Hey, Lane, we talk a lot about the skill position players on your offense, and rightfully so. But your perspective on the job that Randy Clements has done with that offensive line this year, they seem to have come together and are playing as good as really anybody right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably going to surprise you, you know, with those amount of stats, but the tackles played really well. The 3 inside guys did not play well, especially in the run game. Did all right in the pass game. So sometimes numbers can be skewed a little bit, you know, based off of, you know, other guys making plays, but, you know, our grades were not very good inside, but the tackles were really good.
Parrish, go ahead.
Staying on the offensive line, Lane, what kind of development have you seen there this year?
I think we're really good in pass protection for the most part. We're up and down in the run game, but, you know, a lot of those guys played last year, and, you know, they ran the ball well, led the SEC in rushing a year ago. So, you know, we're doing some good things, but we can improve there.
How confident are you in your depth? Don't see you subbing a lot there.
We're trying to develop that. You know, we'd like to rotate a little bit, but we're just not there yet.
Go to Nick.
Lane, just with the game postponed for Saturday, what is the plan for this week now? And what have you heard from the league office about potential rescheduling or shuffling for the rest of the season?
I mean, it looks like we're not going to play. I guess there's still a small possibility somebody could be moved up, you know, if they don't have an opponent. But, you know, so we're still figuring that out, you know, exactly how we'll do the schedule. But what we have figured out is, you know, because of the COVID, you know, we're going to keep them here through the weekend.
And do you plan on having a full week of practice, or are you going to kind of go back to the bye week schedule?
We're still looking at that, you know, exactly what we'll do.
Go to Neil.
Lane, I was just kind of curious when you found out that game was going to be postponed and what your sort of thoughts on it were.
They told us last week that that was probably going to happen, you know, just because they weren't going to get guys back, you know, with the 14 days contact tracing. So I really didn't think much of it because we were just focused on the game. So it is what it is.
With your team, I don't know whether you're comfortable saying this, but dating back to June, do you know how many players or what percentage of your roster has tested positive for COVID since they arrived in June?
I don't know that number, so I don't really want to guess. But I'll get it for you by next time that we get on here.
Thanks.
Go to John.
Lane, from week one, like that Florida game, all the way to now, how would you kind of assess your team's progress? How much better do you think you guys have gotten?
Well, a lot of the similarities in that game are still around. You know, very productive on offense, really good in the passing game. You know, elite quarterback and elite receiver. You know, really good tight end, and you know we run the ball at times well, and we don't play very well on defense. So, you know, we're really kind of where we started off. We've made some progress, I thought, lately on defense, but you know that was painful to watch. You know, and I don't even see all the plays during the game because I'm over there with the offense sometimes. But you know, 8.2 yards a carry. I mean, it's like little league stats, man. I mean, this is the SEC. You know that should never happen.
Go to Ben.
Yeah, Lane, you've coached a number of really talented receivers in your many stops on Amari Cooper and Marquise Lee. As far as a route runner, where does Elijah Moore really rank, do you think?
Elijah's quickness is different. Now he's smaller than those guys, you know, so smaller than Ridley too. You know, so we just never had anybody this quick because he's really a slot. All those guys really are more prototypical outside receivers. So this is a true slot. Like I said, he looks like this, you know, the Carolina Steve Smith. His ability to get in and out of breaks, and I mean, watching the tape, I mean, he ran the ball so well. You know, I think when someone drafts him, they've got to look at, you know, utilizing him back there a few times a game too, because you know that's very hard to prepare for. You know, you got no idea what formation you'll be in, and all of a sudden, you know, you got to match things up, and the guy's in the backfield. You know, it's not like we're subbing him out for a running back, so you know where he's at. You know, the running back's still in the game, so that's very hard to deal with.
Go back to Parrish.
Lane, just to be clear, you said you do not expect the A&M game to be played. Is that right?
Yes, I do not expect that to happen. No.
Are you expecting to play LSU on the 5th, or are you hearing that game could be moved?
Well, I guess we'll know by 6 o'clock or something. But you know, you guys know the rule. If someone else can't play, you know, if their opponent can't play and we can play and they can play, then they can move it up. So I guess that's a possibility. We'll know more here soon.
Is there the possibility of you guys adding someone who's not on the schedule right now?
No, they would. I don't think there's any way the SEC, you know, that was the whole thing, being able to control it, you know, and not having non-conference. So I don't think they'd let that happen.
Well, I mean, like a Tennessee or somebody, if there was somebody not, well, I guess it'd be just a few that you might be able to do that with.
Yeah, I don't know that. You know, that's more of a league office question.
Go back to David.
It's a good idea, though. You could be the commissioner. You could be the commissioner, Parrish. Would you have fined me?
I would not fine you, Lane. You know, I would only fine you if you become suddenly this bland, I'm not going to say anything, coach, and never give us anything to write about. That will get a fine.
Well, you'd be fining a lot of the conference coaches then.
Yeah.
Go ahead, David.
Yeah, Lane, you get a lot of questions about Elijah Moore and who he's comparable to. But what
You
about
like
Matt
that one?
Corral?
You like that one, huh, Neil? I see you dying over there. You know, if you could take out the one game somehow, you know, and if we played better defense where we were winning, you'd be talking about the guy in the Heisman race. You know, his numbers, I mean, I actually saw today, he actually has more total yards per game than anybody in the conference, including, you know, Trask. So it's pretty impressive, you know, and just a sophomore. And I mean, again, he made some plays that, you know, have some Mahomes type of arm angles in the game, you know, which is, we don't teach that. That's just very few humans can do that.
Go back to Nick.
Here's a good one for you, though, that I learned yesterday, talking to his parents. It was actually the first time meeting them. And he played defensive end when he was young. So I can't really see that, but they said he was a defensive end, and I think that toughened him up.
Okay.
He didn't want to play quarterback, they said.
Lane, to go back to the defense for a second, what do you think can be done at this point in the season if you guys try to make changes? Do you talk about schematic changes or play calling changes, or is it just completely up to the players and coaches to work things out at this point?
No, I mean, you know, we've talked about it already. You know, you gotta look at everything. You know, you gotta look at, you know, do we do too much? You know, because you know, it's not just guys like missing tackles. We weren't aligned at times. You know, which is really bad because you know, that's a pretty easy team to line up to. I mean, they're in like I right and trading the tight end. You know, like what we did 25 years ago. So that part was very discouraging. So we're looking at everything.
Back to Ben.
Yeah, to go back to Elijah Lane, and moving him to the backfield, is that something y'all wanted to do but really couldn't because of the lost spring and all that kind of stuff, or what brought that about, just getting the ball in the backfield?
Just the guy's so special, you know, like I've always said, like, you know, you got a great player in basketball, you know, you keep throwing him the ball and letting him shoot, you know, and so I've just always thought with receivers, you know, guys are underused, you know. We got to Alabama and, you know, I think the record was 70 catches or something with Julio Jones. I mean, Julio Jones only touched the ball 70 times. Let's think about that, you know, so not being critical, I just always think that, hey, if you got a great running back, he gets the ball 25 times in a game. So find a way to get the guy the ball. And he's really smart. You know, we actually, I was worried about, you know, his mileage, you know, in the game, having to play, you know, all those spots that he did, you know, so he actually didn't practice him Wednesday, actually, just to make sure he had enough legs to do all this stuff.
Neil, go ahead.
Back to Matt for a minute. This is his third offense, I guess, in 3 years since he got to Ole Miss. How much can he grow in an offseason? I know he still have some games left this year, but how much can he grow in an offseason in the same system, getting ready for next season when he's never really had that benefit before?
Well, you know, that does, you know, create a high ceiling for him, you know, because, again, he didn't have spring with us either. So, you know, first off, hopefully he comes back so we get a chance to do that. Because he would be draft eligible. So it's crazy to think he can get better.
John, go
You
ahead.
mentioned-
Sorry, Neil.
That's okay. You mentioned the spring. The NCAA's pushed the dead period back to April 15th, I think. I haven't talked to you since they did that. I was just kind of curious to get your reaction to it.
Again, we can't control it. Is what it is. Very difficult, very challenging. Again, you know, like I said to you guys, you're running a company and you can't interview your employees, you know, and see them face to face. So just trying to do the best we can.
Go ahead, John.
Lane, how do you kind of view this whole month's stretch of, you know, these last 4 weeks? Because, you know, you have a game and then a bye, and then you have another one and then another week off. Is it kind of to your advantage? Is it a disadvantage, you know, with extra time off between these games?
No, I mean, you know, when you're playing well, you know, you want to keep playing, you know, 2-game winning streak. So I wish we were playing, but, you know, we'll just keep utilizing the time to find different things, just like what we did with Elijah, you know, and see if we can get better.
And the last one from me was obviously took social media by storm, the clipboard toss. One, have you ever been that excited about a play, or when was the last time you were that excited about a play before it happened like that? And have you ever thrown the clipboard that high on that on a play before like that too?
Well, everyone keeps saying clipboard. That's kind of like really old, you know. You don't have clipboards. I guess Gus does, but most of us don't have clipboards, you know. Kind of like the PE teacher in high school. So they're call sheets, you know. And so I think I've never thrown. Usually, I mean, it was done really. Michael Newswinder does it, and you know, he put cardstock inside, so usually you can't throw them that far. But that thing really traveled. It was a little like harder than normal. So I've probably done that, but it's never gone into the stands. That's for sure. But I just get excited when, like I said, after the game, you know, when plays work and you know there's schematical plays, especially if you're audibling at the time, you know, and you get them in a matchup that you're, you know, audibling for a reason, and then the players make the plays. And I was nervous in that game, you know, and so a lot of that's relief energy coming out, you know, because we're not stopping them at all, which, you know, if you can't stop the run, you know, the games are scary. And so I did not like how that game was going in the third quarter, and then, he hit those couple plays and opened it up was huge.